Welcome back, another maths video. This time we are still in geometry and we are looking at angles in parallel lines. Okay, so in front of you, you have got our four main rules that we need for angles in parallel lines. But before I start teaching you, and I guess this is what makes the videos long, is that I got to give you the prerequisites. Number one, do you see that on the end of these lines there are arrows? Those arrows tell you that those lines are parallel. You're going to see some other arrows in maths when we do vectors, but that's something completely different. That talks about direction. But this time in maths, you see two arrows. They're going in the same direction or more. They are parallel. And the line cutting across here, we call that a transversal. So if you hear me use any of that sort of language, you know what I'm talking about. Okay then, let's go see what our rules entail. So the first thing we'll look at is our alternate angles. Now way back in primary school, sorry for taking you that far back, your primary school teacher would have said to you, look for this Z shape, and they might have called that a Z angle, but here in the big leads we will use the correct mathematical language. And what you're actually looking for are angles inside the shoulder of that Z. So this angle and that angle, they are alternate, so that means that they are equal or the same. It's not the only ones there though, because you've got alternate angles there and there, which I will call B and B because they're the same. Now, why do they call them alternate angles? It is because they are the opposite or the reverse of each other. What do I mean by that? Well, let's look at angle A again. It is on the bottom of the parallel line and on the left side, of the transversal. This one is on the top of the parallel line and on the right side of the transversal. So do you see? Bottom, top, left and right, and that's what makes them alternate or opposite to each other. The next one we'll look at are corresponding angles. And again, going back to old primary school, your teacher might have said something like, look for the F angle, look for that F shape. And when you look for that F shape, you're looking for angles that are in the same position. So if I draw an angle here and call that C, and I draw an angle there and call that C, those two angles are the same. They're corresponding. And we can check that as well. So I'll do a little trick here now. So I'm going to chop off a piece of that corresponding and I put it down there, and you can see that there's a perfect match right there for that angle. So they're corresponding. What does corresponding mean? It means that they're in the same position. So let's have a look and see. Here you can see that this angle is on the bottom of the parallel line and on the right side of the transversal. So is this one bottom right? So they are the same. There's some other corresponding angles we've got on the top right, like so. We have also got on the top left, like so. We can also see angles that are vertically opposite. Now, what does it mean, vertically opposite? If you have a straight line and another straight line crossing each other, making that X shape, then the angles directly in front of each other are called vertically opposite. And those angles are the same. So this angle and that angle, I'll call that angle D and angle D. Those angles are the same. So vertically opposite angles are also equal. And finally, we've got our co-interior angles. Now for our co-interior angles, we look for, again, going back to primary school, they might have said to you, oh, look for this C shape here. And when you look for that C shape, you're actually looking for the angle in there and the angle in there. I'm going to call them E and F. Now for co-interior angles, those angles add up to 180 degrees. So E plus F equals to 180 degrees. So they're not equal to each other at this time. But how do we know that for sure? Well, let's check something to see. Now, remember we talked about alternate angles up here? Let's go back here. This F is alternate to this angle just there. So let's put that angle there as F as well. So those two angles are the same because they're alternate. But look at this, E and F are on a straight line. And on a straight line, it's 180 degrees. So that's our proof that E plus F is 180. But that takes care of the rules. Let's go jump into a couple of questions and see how we get on. So we'll do this in alphabetical order. So let's observe a few things. Arrows, yes, which means that these two lines are parallel, which means this is a transversal here. That's good to know. And in order to find J, I will observe the fact that this is a straight line. And so J plus 102 should add up to 180. So I'm going to write that down. So J plus 102 is equal to 180 degrees. And that is because of angles on a straight line. So angles on a straight line are equal to, add up to 180 degrees. And so for that, I'm going to say that J is equal to 180, take away that 102, and that will give us 78 degrees. And so I know that J is 78 degrees. So K now is equal to J, which is equal to 78 degrees. How do we know? Well, look at this Z shape here, Z shape. This and that are alternate to each other, and because they're alternate, this is also 78 degrees. And finally, I've got a few ways I can do L. I can say that it's it's alternate with this here. So I can say L plus 5 is alternate with 102, or I can use the straight line rule over here equal to 180. I'm going to go for the alternate rule because it makes life a lot quicker. So L plus 5 is equal to 102 degrees, and that's because it's alternate. And then all we got to do is subtract that 5, so L is equal to 97 degrees. And just like that, that question is done. All right, how's that going so far? If you're liking this stuff, smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe below for more content like this. Now on this particular question, we have got a parallelogram. How do you know it's a parallelogram, you say? Well, I've got arrows there and there that says that these two sides are parallel to each other, and double arrows matches with that double arrow there that tell me that they are also parallel to each other. Now before I solve this question, you need to have seen my video on special quadrilaterals. If you haven't, pop our banner at the top, stop watching now, go and watch that video first and then come back to this. Otherwise, follow the link in the description and go and have a look at it later. Let's go through this final question. Again, alphabetical order. So we're going to go E, F, G, and then H. So let's start with E first, which is in this corner here. Now, E forms part of a straight line there. That's really cool because I know all angles in a straight line add up to 180 degrees. I know that E plus that 74 degrees plus that 40 degrees must add up to 180 because it's a straight line. Now 74 plus that 40 is going to be 114. So E plus 114 is equal to 180 degrees. And all I got to do is take away that 114 degrees. And I believe E will be 180, take away 114, which is going to be 66 degrees. Now, why did I tell you about this special quadrilateral? That is because in a parallelogram, the opposite angles are equal to each other. So now that I go to find F, I know that 2F must be equal to 66 degrees because this angle and that angle, they're the same in a parallelogram. So now I'm going to just divide by 2. So 66 divided by 2, and just like that, we know F is 33 degrees, and that's done. Okay, so now we're down to our last two, and which is going to be G now. Now to find G, I am going to use the co-interior angle rules of parallel lines, because if I do that, and I got that C shape there, look at it, parallel, parallel, this is my transversal, it means this angle and that angle add up to 180 degrees. I'm sure you can find a much easier way to do it. If you can, stick it in the comments below. Now that we've got the co-interior angles there, we know that it adds up to 180 degrees. So what we're going to do is G add 3 plus that 66 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. Where did the 66 come from? Well, we already said that this angle is 66. It's only the F that's 33, but the whole angle is 66. All right. Okay, good. So now we add those up. G plus 69 degrees is equal to 180. And then now we just got to take that away. So G will equal to 180 degrees. Take away that 69 degrees. So that means that G is 111 degrees. And now that I've got that G is 111 degrees, I can find H, because that rule of the opposite angles still apply. So this angle plus that angle equals the same. Because they're the same, then H will equal to 111 plus 3, which is equal to 114 degrees. And just like that, this is now finished. Did you get it? If you did, smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe below and hit that notification bell so you do not miss another upload. But for now though, until I see you on the next one, peace.